Hello, this is Reshaping Democracy. In focus today is the Nigeria Agricultural Quarantine Services. The Nigeria Agricultural Quarantine Services is a government agency under the Ministry of Agriculture, which among other responsibilities ensure that all plants, animals and aquatic produce and products going outside the shores of Nigeria meet global standards. The agency also has the responsibility of preventing the introduction, establishment and spread of pests and diseases of all agricultural products in the country. It equally provides effective science-based regulatory service for quality assurances of all agricultural products through consistent enforcement of sanitary and phytosanitary measures for promoting a secured and sustainable agricultural and economic development. This is the mandate of the Nigeria Agricultural Quarantine Services, headed by the Director General, Vincent Isebe, who is on Reshaping Democracy to respond to questions concerning the activities and programs of the service.
DG sir, what is the mandate of the Nigerian Agricultural Quarantine Services?
Basically, what we do at the Quarantine Service is that it's an agency of government responsible for, say, both sanitary and phytosanitary measures. That is to say, before any plant product, what I mean by plant product is that any crop product, be it beans or cassava or rice or wheat or vegetables, fruits or nuts or roots or rhizomes, those ones are categorized as plant products. So before they come into the country, it's the primary or statutory duties of the Nigeria Agricultural Quarantine Service to do the pest risk analysis and then to do the crop pest survey, to give guarantee to the importing country that that commodity or produce is safe to enter the country. And we have done that without any external assistance or any external consultants. For sorghum, to China in 2019. We just finished for shell nuts, that is shell peanuts, and then for shrimps and prawns, to China and then to Russia. So when we do that, then the importing country will do their own quarantine audits. They will come here to evaluate what we have done, and thereafter they can give us the opportunity to be able to export Nigerian agro-produce to their country. That is the first thing that every nation does. And for every nation, you have what they call the National Plant Protection Organization for the country. For Nigeria, it's the Nigeria Agricultural Quarantine Service. That's why we have that mandate. We equally ensure that, locally we inspect and certify agricultural produce before it leaves our country, because we have that mandate, the concurrent mandate, to give that guarantee to the importing country that whatever is living here is safe and it meets the international standard for the importing country. So we do that, and they too, when they're bringing something into our own country, they do as well. So for the plant and plant products, we issue the import permit, and then we give other concurrent conditions that will allow that commodity to enter the country. And for any country that's importing products into or exporting products into our country, they do the same thing as well. We give them the terms for which those commodities can enter the country, and when they come in, we check to ensure that those produce, meet those specific conditions that will enable them to enter the country. For now, you cannot bring in cassava cuttings or any cassava stem or tuber or anything. You cannot, because we are trying to checkmate the cassava brown streak disease, which is very close to us. It's already in Central Africa and Eastern Africa. And it's a disease that has about 100% casualty, so to say, in quote, level, that it can come and destroy the whole crop in a farm, 100%. And cassava is our staple food. So we don't want such coming in. So anybody who wants to bring a cassava stem or cassava tuber from anywhere into the country is prohibited. So cassava cuttings, we will not give the import permit for anybody to bring such into the country. And if at that particular point in time, there's a situation in that country where that particular commodity is at risk, that is, there's an invading pest in that country, we equally will not. And the pest risk analysis will indicate clearly that that is the situation. If it's for animal and animal products, we do the same thing as well. We ensure that it meets those standards. Like, if you want to bring in pigs, we want to be sure, is it from an African swine-free disease area? Or does it, or at that particular point in time, is there any endemic disease specifically for pigs, or for which pigs are transmitters or vectors, or whichever the situation is that is connected to pigs? In that case, we will not allow it to enter. Same for horses. You know, there are such specific diseases for those animals that we'll be checking, and will not want them to come into the country. Take the case of aquatic resources. Some of the species of fishes are very aggressive. They can attack and consume other fishes like the pangasius species. So we want to be careful how much of it or how many of it you are bringing into the country, because you bring it in, they will just wipe out the natural fish in aquatic habitat and we stand to lose. So the quarantine ensures that there's a balance. The balance in the ecosystem is maintained, as well as giving room for biodiversity in the import and export of agricultural produce. So these are some of the things that we do in the quarantine service. Then from time to time, we assess the disease situations of both animals and plants, because that is the basis for which other countries will accept our produce. And one of the major challenges we have with the export of our animal and animal products is the endemicity. That is, you have so many diseases that we are not able to eradicate in the country for now, and for such, it takes stringent measures for us to be able to export those commodities. And one of the easiest way out the quarantine service is working on right now is to do what we call the disease-free areas and disease-free farms. You declare a disease-free area, you go through a series of processes to be able to declare a disease-free area, or if the area, that is not possible, you can do what they call you declare a disease-free farm, where you cordon off a farm, you create a buffer zone, you do the analysis of the disease that is peculiar to that farm, and you eliminate whatever is peculiar to that farm. And if you're able to sustain it for the next maybe 5 to 6 years, depending on the disease and depending on the animal that we're talking about, then you can declare that farm as a disease-free farm. But that is subject to the verifications by the OIE and the importing country that will send, that's the World Organization for Animal Health, that will determine whether what you have done is correct or not. Then once that certificate is given, despite the fact that you have that disease in your country, that particular farm is now declared as disease-free farm, and you can export either your milk or your eggs or your live animals or processed meats from that farm to another country.
Hoarding and smuggling of food has become a major thing in Nigeria. So we'd like to know what your agency is doing about it, sir.
Well, for hoarding and illegal exportation of agro-produce, it does not fall directly within the mandate of the Nigerian Agricultural Quarantine Service. Our mandate, like I told you, is to encourage export, basically, and then to checkmate imports coming of agricultural produce if they meet those standards. If you hoard a commodity, it means that you are keeping the commodity within the country, and probably you are waiting for the price to increase and then you sell. If you hoard and sell within the country, there are other government agencies that take care of that. That does not fall within the mandate of the Nigerian Agricultural Quarantine Service. However, if you are exporting agro-produce outside this country, then that produce must have an export permit, for which will be issued by the Nigerian Agricultural Quarantine Service. And if it does not have the export permit, then either the Nigerian Customs Service or the Nigerian Agricultural Quarantine Service, through our borders, will not allow such commodities to exit the country. We work closely with Nigerian Customs Service, and then other sister agencies too, because of the way we collaborate. If this, like the NDLA, if they see any of such, it does not carry our permit, they normally draw our attention to it. That's the way we collaborate at the border posts.
DG, in line with the Renew Hope agenda, what is your organization doing in order for Nigerians to have good and healthy food?
Okay, that again does not fall directly within the mandate of the Nigerian Agricultural Quarantine Service. But what we do is to ensure that food is healthy and the food or the produce that we export outside this country is healthy too, and it can pass all the international standards. But in doing that, permit me to say that we do what we call backward integration. So in essence, it may affect it. And let me explain what I mean. By backward integration, we are ensuring that in the export application value chain, any agricultural produce meets a particular process and standards. Like in the export application value chain, we have 5 critical operators. You have the farmer producer, you have the supplier aggregator, you have the exporter himself, then you have the state government where that farm is located, and you have the Nigerian Agricultural Quarantine Service. Now, it's important for us to reach out to the farmer to say, look, if you are producing, do not use particular herbicides or pesticides like the glyphosate family and the others. If you use it, there's a way the plant will suck up these chemicals and will deposit it in either the fruit or the vegetables or the seeds at the point of harvest. So for such that is produced, if all are not exported, it will remain in the country for people to eat. So yes, in that way, it affects what is produced within the country. But where all of them are mopped up for export, following the export certification value chain that we have put in place, then virtually all those ones will end up at the export decks on their way out of the country for the farmers or the exporters to earn foreign exchange for the country. So those are the two conditions where, our actions, affect what is produced within the country, and then it affects the standard of what is produced. If not, the Federal Minister of Agriculture or the State Minister of Agriculture, that falls within their mandate to ensure that there's good agronomic practices within those states, and the application and the transportation or whatever is done properly. For the quarantine service too, warehouses where those commodities are stored are important to us. Because if you keep different types of agro-produce in one warehouse, there's possibility for cross-contamination. Some pests are peculiar to some crops, but some storage pests, they affect any produce that is kept in this warehouse. For meat that is stored in the freezer too, if you don't clean what do they call it? The cold rooms very well, and you don't leave opportunity for a time to clean and dry and allow a new quantity of meat or meat products to come in, you can have meat products being contaminated as well, and those ones can be sold to the community and are within the country. But if it is for export, there are stringent rules that are put in place. So we want to work within our mandates and allow others to do their own mandate too.
Mr. DG, sir, Nigeria is facing food shortage. And when you go to the borders, you see a lot of people moving food items out of the country. Are you not bothered about that, sir?
Okay. Now, I've answered that question, but let me speak to you in a different dimension. Nigeria has 34 million square kilometers of arable land. I'm sure not many countries can boast of that. We have a population of 213 million by 2013 population estimate. We have a very youthful population, between 55 to 65% of the total population of Nigeria. And for any produce, any agricultural food item that Nigeria can produce, the international community is in dire need of it. From vegetables, to cashew nuts, to oil, palm oil, to ginger, to sesame, to yam, anything, cocoyam, sugarcane, okra, pepper, chili. We're in dire need of it. So, for Nigeria not to be able to produce enough to eat, and then not to be able to produce enough to sell, is something that should be of concern to all of us. Everybody eats food. Food is the primary necessity of man. You have to eat food first before you think of a roof over your head or what to wear. Like Her Excellency, the wife of the president, said, when we were all growing up, our mothers have vegetable farms, gardens. You go there, you pluck vegetable. You go there, you pick garden egg. You go there, you pick tomatoes. So urbanization has limited the amount of soil available in housing estates that are available for people to farm. But that's not an excuse. In our villages, we have farms. So I want to encourage us as Nigerians to take farming seriously. When we're exporting yam, some people say, oh, we don't have enough food to eat. If we export yam, how much of yam will be available to eat? I don't subscribe to that, in the sense that the type of yam that is exported is different from the type of yam that's available to eat. The yam for export is those ones that are small-sized yams, slender, between 1.8 to 2, maximum 2.5 kg. You know, those slender ones that probably we use as seed yams, you know, back home. If you're a farmer, you understand what I mean. Those are the ones that are exported. The big, fat ones with fingers, finger type of branches, those are not the ones that we export. And by the way, if we can farm enough to feed ourselves, all we need is to farm extra for export and earn the foreign exchange that we need for this country. Netherlands has just about 253 square kilometers of land, while Nigeria, total land space for Nigeria is 923,000. Netherlands has a population of, I think, 17.3 million or 0.5 million, 17 million plus. But the total amount of export, total value for export, compared to Nigeria, is more than 100-fold. We have enough land that we can plant, you know, cultivate, and export as much as possible to earn the necessary foreign exchange for this country. Permit me to use this opportunity to thank the Honorable Minister of Senator Abubakar Kyari, Federal Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, you know, for the massive support the Nigerian Agricultural Quarantine Service have continued to receive. You know, in the course of our mandate, it's been massive, and we show appreciation to the Honorable Minister and support of other, the Minister of State, the PAMSEC, and other staff of the Federal Minister of Agriculture. And then for the staff of the Nigerian Agricultural Quarantine Service, I congratulate you for being coming first in the ease of doing business category. You know, first of 36 MDAs of the Federation, and then the first to hit the 100% mark. That means that there's more work for us to do. We know NIMASA is behind us, you know, we are feeling their heat behind us, but we are going to give them a good run for their money too, because we're not going to give them the chance. NIMASA came number 2nd. So we'll continue to do our best to meet the renewed hope agenda of Mr. President, and ensure that NAQS as an agency of government fulfills its mandates, you know, fully and to the best of our abilities.
DG, sir, a country cannot realistically have a disease-free livestock without an effective laboratory. What are the state of Nigeria's laboratories for plants and animals?
Okay, we have laboratories in the Nigerian Agricultural Quarantine Service. They've been in existence for a very long time. We have a diagnostics center and training school at Ibadan, where we do most of our analysis. We have one in Lagos. We have just finished building the 2-story building We are equipping the lab. We have built one in Abuja, and we are yet to equip it. Currently, as we are speaking, we are working in collaborations with some Kenyan scientists on fall armyworm, disease, which is a very serious issue in the country. It was introduced to Nigeria in 2016. It has continued to ravage tomatoes and peppers and garden egg and what have you. So we are working in collaboration with scientists from Kenya, to be able to develop what I'll call, I don't want to use a scientific name, a kind of pest that will now devour the caterpillar of the fall armyworm. So they would rather feed on it. And why we have chosen to do that is to ensure that there's minimal application of pesticides that will contaminate the soil. So it's an alternative measure that we have taken to control fall armyworms in the country. And by doing so, our tomato and other vegetables will face less damage in the coming years.
How do you carry out your enforcement? Because I haven't necessarily seen any group of people that call themselves staff of the Nigerian Agricultural Quarantine Service. Well,
I thank the lady for her question. We are always at our duty post. So if she has business with us, she will see us. We are located in all the international land borders. We are located at the airports, international airports and seaports. And we're located at what we call the interstate control post. That is between the north and south of this country, north and south of rivers, Benue and Niger at the confluence in Lokoja. So the interstate control posts are located at Makurdi, Jebba, Lokoja, and Kasinala. So if for some reasons you are able to beat us at the northern borders, you need to see quarantine before you go to the south. And if you're able to beat us in the south, in the coastline, you need to cross those people to be able to get to the north. So it's a way of checkmating the transmission of disease between the northern part of this country and the southern part of this country, because you need to cross the river, those bridges, before you can carry your agricultural commodities. So that is what we do. So if you're an exporter, or you have any business through agricultural produce, you will definitely see us. We are always in our dark bush green and black trousers with either a cap or beret, and you see us in any of those places. So we are quite visible, doing our jobs quietly. We are not where we are not supposed to be, so probably that's why she has not had contact with us. But I'm sure if she's in the agricultural space, she would have seen us. May I use this opportunity to thank His Excellency, Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief of the Nigerian Armed Forces for the trust he has in me, for reappointing me as the DG Nigeria Agricultural Quarantine Service. I pledge to continue to do my best in the course of our duties, and the NAQS2 will live up to its mandate.
The Nigeria Agricultural Quarantine Services defines standards on agricultural quarantine procedure, ensuring compliance with international agreements, protocols, conventions, and treaties on agricultural quarantine, including forestry, endangered species, plants, plant products, animal products, aquatic resources, and its products. Thanks for watching Reshaping Democracy. Join us again same time next week. I'm Ayodeji Makinde. Bye-bye.